This is the All Things Nerd Podcast, Season 3, Episode 39. On tonight's show, we have a special guest, Athena Finger, the granddaughter of the co-creator of Batman, Bill Finger. It's a great show. We're super excited. Let us know what your questions are in the chat room, and here's the intro. Hello to all the Geek Enthusiasts and Nerd Aficionados. This is Mess 5150 back with another All Things Nerd podcast. On tonight's show, we have some of our normal people. You've got me, Mess 5150. We've also got Masonic Vader on the cast, Nudie Rudy, and Icy Zorro. I almost forgot his name. Are all on the cast with us.
Appreciate it.
Usually we get intros from them, but we have somebody much more important to talk about, much more exciting, and that is Athena Finger, the granddaughter of Bill Finger, who is the co-creator of Batman. How you doing, Athena?
I'm doing quite well. I hope you all are having a fabulous Friday night.
It's just getting started for me.
That's probably fine. We've got plenty of time. Hey, and we're normal now.
Mess just described us as normal, so we're already off to a weird start.
Yeah.
Normal.
And no, these are not our real names. We just use code names for stuff.
Oh, what? And I didn't get one? Now I feel left out.
Well, absolutely. Give us a code name. I would love to use a code name.
Batfinger.
I'm sure my students
I'm gonna
have
trademark
something
that one
for me.
I'm already losing it. Okay. Yeah, so this is exciting because this is actually our first big guest for the show. We've been doing this for 3 years and nobody's answered our calls. So thank you, Athena.
I'm so honored. Oh, awesome. All right, so I get to pop your
I think
cherry.
it was the desperation of my face for that Comic-Con. Please, I'm just trying to stay on the show, please.
You're the only reason that we still have Masonic Vader on the show. Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, that's a little bit of history. What happened that got Masonic? I know you had watched Bill, Batman and Bill, the documentary on Hulu that gave us kind of the history of a very interesting, like, when I watched it, I was like, holy moly, this is an insane history on what happened with Bill. And wrote an article about it on our website, malice-corp.com. Shameless plug. Sorry. But I know you interacted with Athena at Comic-Con. What was some of the stuff that went down there? I mean, to get her here on the cast? Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I beg. No. I was honestly, I was more starstruck. And I say that because, like, when I wrote that article, when I saw that was probably when I was about 2 months after actually showing up on cast, because before that I was just watching all the time. And that was probably one of the best documentaries ever that I've seen, because of the fact that for once we actually had the right ending, the justice done. You know, you watch comic books, you watch Batman, and justice is always happening with Batman, and then it happens in real life with Batman, and
Right.
that drugged me right into it. And being myself as a single parent and everything, and seeing the effects that this all had, especially when being able to finally get to the part of the video when we get to meet you in there. It was awesome to see something like that totally happen. We got to witness it, and that's what drew me to this. And when I saw that you were at Comic-Con, it took me a minute. It was great because I just like, oh my God, this is Athena Finger, the person I just saw, and now I'm going to meet her in person. And she was just the way she is right now, totally awesome, incredible. And apparently she's hanging out with Aquaman, so I didn't know that, so I got no chance for anything, but at least she said
Athena, what was it like for you to have this, what looks like an oversized dwarf, wander up to your table and say, "You're Athena Finger, aren't you?"
You're so sweet. Come on.
No,
I love the fans. I really do. I appreciate the fans. I love meeting them. Like, again, without you guys, there really would be nothing to even talk about or celebrate or anything Batman. I mean, without you guys keeping him popular, like, 80 years later, he wouldn't be here. So I mean, I love it, and you know, I know the fans are really gracious and they want to meet someone who is associated with the history. So I've embraced that role. I was a little intimidated in the beginning, but you know,
Oh,
I
I'm
didn't know what
sure.
to expect. So when I started meeting people and seeing that they just super chill and just want to say thank you or show their appreciation in some way, I was like, this is awesome.
Well, that's an interesting question. That's something I want to know about because with the release of that documentary and the campaign for getting your grandfather's name as co-creator, or created by with, you kind of went from being essentially a private person to a public figure. How was that transit? That's got to be weird.
Well, it took me a while to get used to it. People would be like, "Oh, so tell me your story," and I'm like, "Well, I'm a math teacher," and then people are like, "What? You're not a math teacher. You are representing something that is bigger than you realize." And I had to kind of come to terms with that.
Oh yeah.
I was at first intimidated, and at the same time, I was like, "What's my role here? Like, I'm not in the industry. Even though I am an artist, it's not, I'm not making comic books.
Right.
I'm doing my own thing. And really, I considered myself a math teacher for a long time, which I still am, but I also have this very public life that, even my students know. They all Google me and they're like, "Oh my God, my teacher is famous. Oh my God."
How many times do your students call you Oracle?
They don't. I think they have other names for me. But that's okay.
Fellow teacher, I understand that. Thank you.
What was the shift from, I mean, growing up, where you said on the documentary, you said it was like nobody, either they had questions, they questioned what you said, or just didn't believe you. I mean, the shift from that type of focus to now everybody that knows or knows what happened with the whole foreground and the background, and that your grandfather really, I mean, created some of the most iconic characters coming from the Batman universe. That
One of the biggest entertainment properties in the world.
completely parallel shift of now it's everybody understands that what you're saying
Right.
is true.
Um, you know, the internet played a huge role in that because growing up in the 80s, we didn't have the internet and we didn't have Wiki and we didn't have the free, sharing of true history or any of this going on. So as soon as that started to change, and like even when Mark got in touch with me back in 2007, like I was kind of taken back that some random
Wow,
person
it was that
that
long
wasn't
ago?
in the industry knew. Like, what do you mean you know about my grandfather? Like, how, what, like, what's going on here? And then, realizing that there was a large community of people, not just in the industry, that knew Bill's story and knew this, how significant he was in the industry. I mean, it wasn't just Batman. He came up with the original Green Lantern, and he wrote
Yeah.
the
Alan
first
Scott, yeah.
Kryptonite story, and he like had all these really important things that he contributed to the genre. And I learned a lot from people because I never met him. And my father passed away when I was 15. So it's not like I had these people to go to get stories and information. So as I met more people who were historians or fans or people who worked with Bill or knew Bill, started telling me more about him as a person, as a writer, it was a process, and I had to process all of that because again, I was learning about someone in my family that I knew very, very little about. And so coming into that and being able to now put his name into Google and see the wealth of information and going into the DC database and seeing the hundreds, if not thousands, of books that he has written.
Yeah.
And it's not just for DC. He wrote for Timely, which is Marvel now, and
Hmm.
he wrote movies, and he wrote for TV, and he wrote for so many different mediums. And it just, I think with the internet and people really wanting to tell his story is how, I really was able to come to terms with all of that and really say, oh, wow, there is a community that really does know the truth.
Oh, absolutely. So, nerds are a fairly tight-knit group, and we get passionate about stuff.
How much did you hear in your childhood about, Bill's story and that? Like, it sounded like your dad was very much, focused on trying to get Bill the credit he deserved. But how much did you learn growing up about that stuff? I mean, you're saying you didn't know a lot till meeting people later on.
I didn't know very much. I mean, my dad told me obviously what his father did. I had this amazing lineage in my family and things like that. And I mean, he would tell me certain things. A lot of it, unfortunately, I don't remember. Like I said, my father passed away when I was 15, and I didn't grow up with him. My parents got divorced when I was 3. So I only got to see my dad a couple times a year if I was lucky. And we were too busy just being together to like have in-depth conversations about his father.
Like, tell me about your father. This is going to be important later.
I mean, I was a kid. It's not like I was like, oh, you need to tell me everything because it's going to be significant when I'm older. I want to spend time with my dad because I never get to see him.
Yeah. So, like, can we get a waffle cone on the boardwalk? That'd be.
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have many stories to reflect on or to share because I don't remember them. I have shared the ones that I do remember. Like my grandfather would let my dad read the stories before he submit them to get
I want that
the
job.
12 or 13-year-old interpretation of the story. And he would tell me that he would take him to the museum and to movies and things like this all the time because he was always doing research for stories. And that's where he got his material from, was what he was around in the city. So my dad was always involved with that part, which was very interesting because he was so cultured. I mean, he could have just locked himself away, but he didn't. He really embraced where he was and got any and everything that he could from his environment.
Yeah, I think there were like vast notebooks full of creative ideas, I think.
Yes, he carried a gimmick book around with him.
Nice.
And after Bill passed away, my dad actually collected a bunch of things that were left and tried to get DC to take them, and they didn't want it. And my dad didn't have a place for them, so they all ended up in the landfill.
Oh, good Lord.
Stop.
It's a bummer.
So I got a question for you about your, because we're at that point. This is a good question I wanted to ask. From the time that you got introduced to Mark and everything, it sounds like this process has not only been able to, fix an issue or a problem that should have happened with your grandfather. It sounds like this actually got you, in a way, more involved, or at least to get more information and learn more about your dad. Is that true?
Actually, I have some people who have seen interviews or articles about me have reached out to me and said, hey, I was really close with your dad, just wanted to, say blah, 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 or whatever, which is amazing. I mean, I haven't had my dad for a very long time. So when people do reach out to me that knew him, it's, oh my God, like people know and want to share and they're willing to share with me. And I value that because again,
that's amazing.
It's somebody that I don't have to go to and talk to or, just pick their brain.
Yeah. That was one of the pure just human moments in that documentary. I watched it a couple days ago when you saw that video of your dad and you're just like, God, I just reconnecting with somebody that's been passed. That was fantastic. That was amazing.
I cry every time I see that movie.
Yeah.
Every time I watch the documentary.
I don't have the connection that you have, but I actually, being emotional, I actually teared up at the end of it with the reveal of finally getting the recognition and that documentary is really well done. So
no, for those that don't know or haven't seen it, go watch Batman and Bill. It's on Hulu. It's a fantastic documentary. Gives you all the backstory you need for this particular story. So you came up in the 80s, right? Like I did. You weren't particularly like a pop culture nerd. You weren't into comics, any of that stuff?
I wasn't into comics. My dad got me really into horror films. And when he started taking me to horror movies when I was a baby, and he would take me to go see all of them. Like, I remember one time, I'm like, oh, Mom, I'm going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And she's like, you saw that in the movie theater? I'm like, how old was I? She's like, I don't know, 2. And I'm like, I don't remember.
That is
The
solid
chainsaw
parenting.
made
I
a
love
nice
that.
sound.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do remember seeing, like, the first Halloween, and I love Freddy Krueger. Like, that's what I gravitated towards, was the horror genre. So, and I was super fascinated with special effects and how they did a bunch of that stuff. And, like, you know, American Werewolf in London, like, that whole transformation was amazing. Like, and they didn't have CGI.
Where you can
like,
where you can see the people putting the fur on his hand.
Yeah, I like, how are they gonna do? Like, how did they do that? Like, I was super fascinated with that. So that was really where I got my, you know, geekdom, was in that genre.
Absolutely.
Have you read any of the more recent Batman comics, like the Batman Who Laughs, that have that kind of more that horror vein to them?
I love that one. And I also I read the trilogy Batman Damned. I actually just met that artist at the Joker premiere. He's super nice. You know, there are certain ones that I have picked up. I really like Catwoman, so I've been reading the current Catwoman series. So I have been reading a little more. My passion really is Felix the Cat. I try to, like,
nothing wrong with that.
Comics
Okay, so like 3 of us on this chat right now knows what
I'm buying it.
3 of us know who Felix the Cat is. The other 2 guys are like, who's that? And they're starting to Google right now. I guarantee that.
I think
Felix and his wonderful bag of tricks.
Important role in comics, though, because he was the first commercialized cartoon. And without what they did with that character, we wouldn't really have everything that we have now with comics and cartoons and stuff. He was the first. He was the original. Yeah. I'm all about originality, so that's why.
Clearly. I have a weird little off topic question. You do interviews fairly frequently. You said you do generally about a podcast a month lately. What questions are you tired of answering?
I'll let you
so
guess.
We can ask them. No.
So we can say far away from them.
Yeah.
People always want to know who my favorite Batman is.
Always.
That's always
which was the first question that popped in my head, and I was like, I know that's going to be.
Of course it was.
Which was the question I was going to ask, but not anymore.
I want to know who your favorite cat. I want to know who your favorite Catwoman is. So.
Michelle Pfeiffer, of course.
Good call.
She was hot.
So
I'm trying to put my cosplay together of her version of Catwoman.
Oh.
We would like to see that eventually. Make sure we get a picture of it. Do not tell Aquaman I said that.
Well, when I was at Dragon Con, I actually did cosplay. Like, I quickly put together a Catwoman costume. So it's in the works. So I kind of threw something together. But I need to find someone who's willing to make the cowl for me with the cat ears and everything.
I am sure you could probably find somebody with your last name.
I know, but they're expensive.
Yeah,
like, to have them like professionally done and like fitted to my head. They're not cheap. So you know, it's on the list. I want to get the rest of the costume pulled together first. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta start with the whip, you know. Should always have a whip in the house. There it is.
you did mention something earlier that last night you were at the Joker premiere. I saw the pictures of it. Without giving a spoiler, what are your thoughts on it?
Go see it.
You
have to go see it. It's intense. It's super heavy. It's not a comic book movie. Not at all. Like, it's completely different.
I've also heard that I should not bring my child.
What? It's not, you know, it depends on the child.
I showed him Blade when he was 7. He'll probably be all right.
She was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre at 2. I think she'll see it.
You know what's so funny is people laugh when I say this, so you guys can laugh. It's okay. But I wasn't allowed to watch Disney growing up.
Oh, wow.
Watch anything and everything else except for Disney. Disney was on the no list.
Really? No, yes. No Little Mermaid, no Aladdin, nothing.
Python, all the horror movies.
Wow.
I mean, my parents took me to see everything.
You know what? I get that. Disney has all those subliminal messages and stuff. It's not like horror
Exactly,
does
that was
anything
the thing.
subliminal. They just throw
And
it
my
out there.
mom
There you
was
go.
really
I'm going to rip your
big.
intestines out. Good times. Move on.
Well, think of the
Oh,
way that Disney, especially the old Disney films, you know, women were the damsel in distress. You had to wait for your Prince Charming. And my mom was not about that. She wanted strong, independent women because
Nice.
she had 2 girls. And she's like, this is all wrong. This is not part of our society anymore. Like, you can't just wait for your Prince Charming. Like, you need to be on your own 2 feet, and hopefully he'll come around. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I recently watched Little Mermaid for the first time in like 15 years, and I was like, wow, the messaging here is problematic.
I can see it right now. You're running around your house chasing your sister with a knife.
No, she was the one that was chasing me around. She's a older one.
Going out for Halloween, 3 years old, dressed as Leatherface.
Unfortunately, you can't get away from Disney now because they own all of our childhoods. So.
They own everything.
Everything.
Not DC though.
Right.
True.
Well,
Thank
okay,
God.
so that's interesting. Like, it sounds like from the research that I did and watching the documentary and stuff, it seems like Warner Brothers and DC in general has always been kind of good. Like they've been welcoming, right? How has your experience been with them?
Well, since
I'm sure it was off and on.
2008, it's been great. You know, unfortunately, we had to like go through the legal system, but I mean,
Sure.
they were very welcoming and had me come to events, and you know, were willing to do what they can, you know, until I kind of forced their hand to do more.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, it was very different when I came into it later than when I was younger, because when I was younger, they were like, yeah, whatever. Basically.
Well, and your family had
we don't-
essentially
we're not
considered it
gonna
a
do
dead
anything.
issue, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I didn't pursue it for 15 years until Mark was like, you have to do this. Like, do it. And I'm like,
Well, it looks like
"I
so
don't
much stuff that
want
he was
to."
doing already that that it was such a quest for him that he really had to tell you.
See it all the way through. Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad that he pushed me into getting in touch with them and starting the whole process, but I was extremely hesitant. I really was. I mean,
Understandably so.
there's so much going on behind that I was just like, I don't know if I really want to go through this. But obviously it was something that needed, and I really did understand that the history needed to be corrected. And so I was like, okay, well then I need to do this. I need to embrace it and come to terms with it. And you know, whatever happens, happens. At least I pursued it, and you know,
Yeah, give
more
it your
people
best
know
shot.
the story, and so all this. I mean, a lot of positive stuff has come out of it. I'm so thankful for that. I mean, it could have gone completely south if they wanted to make it that way.
It could have been a lot of effort for no show, but it
Exactly. But I knew that I only had a small amount of time to like really pursue it. So
and you were literally the only person that could have, right? Like is that a law? Is that a comic policy where only the heir can challenge, you know?
I believe there's a law about that.
Okay.
Within the copyright law and the IP. So it has to be a family member that can pursue it. And you only have 75 plus 3 years to pursue it if it's not.
That is a strange amount of time.
Yeah, the plus 3 years is weird, but yeah, they only give you 78 years to fight your claim. And then after
we're right at the 80th anniversary right now, right? So
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that Mark got to you when he did.
Yeah.
Nudie, did you have a question for her?
Well, I was honestly curious, like how the premiere was. I know you mentioned the Joker itself, the movie, but how was the since you just recently went? How'd you like the experience of going to the premiere?
It was good. I mean, each premiere that I go to is different. So this one was in LA. It was at the Chinese Theater. They had a pre-party, which sometimes they do, most times they don't. It also depends on the movie. For like the animated ones and for like the Lego movies, since that's geared towards kids, they usually have a pre-party for the kids to come to with like different stuff. But for the more adult ones, it's usually an after party. So it was really cool. The pre-party was nice. It was like just a very intimate crowd. There wasn't many people there.
Was anybody out front of Man's Chinese dressed as Batman?
I don't know, because the security was so tight that they actually ushered us through the hotel. We were only out on the street for like a moment before we went into the tent. It was all tented. They were really like concerned about the safety of us for this because of all of the hype around, you know, what happened in Colorado and you know, other things like, you know, these other fanatical quote unquote Joker people that wanted to do whatever, like just craziness associated with the whole thing. So they were super tight with the security. So they ushered us right in. And then after the movie, they like made sure we were all together to go over across the street to the party, which was also tented. So like you couldn't really see anything from the street or anything.
Well, I guarantee there was at least 5 Batmen on that street somewhere, because there always is.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there were. You know,
there's also a guy my size dressed as Spider-Man, probably. So
wearing my kid's Spider-Man suit. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Skin tight.
Oh man, ripping.
Got the camel toe.
Did you?
Of the different.
Sorry for the visual.
You said you've been to many.
Sorry, I had to go there.
You said you've been to many different premieres. I mean, is there one that stands out, your favorite, or?
My favorite was still the first one that I went to for The Dark Knight.
That's just such a good movie.
Yeah, it is.
Well, also, okay, so it was my first event. It was in New York. You know, they had a pre-dinner for that one at Tavern on the Green. I met a bunch of people there that were like eager to come and talk to me and tell me their, you know, their connection to Batman, or that they knew my grandfather or whatever. And then the movie was just like, oh my god, like
yeah,
see it on the IMAX, like, and have
Freaking
like
Heath
primo
Ledger.
seats in the middle of the theater. Like, I was blown away by it. And then the after party, like, it was like no other. Like, none of the other after parties have even come close to this particular party. You know, it was just so well done, the whole event. So that one was
highly
my favorite.
produced.
I did go to the Green Lantern premiere, which was interesting. I mean, the after party, the way that they had it set up with some of the stuff from the movie was pretty cool. Some of the celebrities that I met at that one were extremely gracious. And, you know, some of them weren't so gracious, but, you know, that's how it goes.
Name names. Who's a jerk?
Ryan Reynolds.
Or not.
Do not say Ryan Reynolds. Do not say Ryan Reynolds.
Please.
He wasn't at the after party, unfortunately. I didn't get to meet him.
Okay.
I see a single tear coming from her face right now. I see that right now.
Dude, I have one.
Come on, I would have
That's a very pretty man.
He looks like he's so much fun.
He's an amazing man.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
He helped me get my wife, so he's
interesting.
I've told this story before on the cast previously, but when I was interested in my wife, she found out I was going to a convention where Ryan Reynolds was at. She was in love with him, so I went to a signing and asked him, could you talk to this girl on the phone? She loves you. And he's like, sure. And he answers the phone. He's like, what's her name? And I go, Julia. And he's like, hi, Julia, this is Ryan Reynolds. And all she could say was, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And he's like, okay, I got other people that want to talk to me. I'm gonna let you go.
To me when I met John Travolta, I couldn't put 2 words together in front of that man. I was just like,
for who?
John Travolta.
Oh god.
Oh
yeah.
I've been in love with him since I was like 3.
Hey, Mr. Carter.
No, Saturday Night Fever.
Hair.
Come on.
He's just gorgeous.
Grease.
Really? Even it looks like he got stabbed in the chin with a pencil. I don't know.
He's still beautiful, though. I mean, he really is a handsome guy.
Yeah,
But
it turns out all those guys do that for a
people
reason.
who are not so gracious. One is from Wales and tends to be everyone's favorite Batman, even though he's not my favorite.
I could see him not being very
Yeah,
gracious.
yeah.
There was a kind of a blow up with him at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't very nice. And especially since, the executive producer was introducing us and he was completely rude to me, and I was just like, wow, okay, moving on.
Well, I mean, you might as well say it. If you said he wasn't
No.
your worst, you might as well throw out your best. Come on. I didn't ask it. You started it.
So,
I was trying to
actually
circumvent that whole
two
thing.
that
Yeah.
I've met that were super awesome. When I met Anne Hathaway, she was so sweet and she gave me like the biggest hug and was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Such an honor." And like she was so sweet. And then Angela Bassett from the Green Lantern movie. When I introduced myself to her, she knew exactly who I was talking about.
Really?
Wow.
And I was floored by that. And then she's like, "It's such an honor," gave me a huge hug and like introduced me to her whole entourage and family of like 25 people.
Like,
And I
this
was
is
just
Turtle, this is E.
I was just like, wow, this is amazing. She knows her history of something that she's a part of and knew who my grandfather was, because she was like, "Wait, you're talking about like from the 40s?" And I'm like, "Oh my
Nice.
God, like you know who I'm talking about?"
That's amazing.
Awesome.
It was really awesome. So I've had some really nice ones. I mean, there's been other ones. Aaron Eckhart was super nice. Like Danny DeVito, when I met him, he was playful and funny.
You'd have to be on a show like Always Sunny. Yeah.
Well, when I met him at the Dark Knight, he was, goofing around, pretending to be the Penguin and just being silly and goofy. It was so cute and fun. So, I mean, I've had some really good experiences. I've had some really bad experiences. But, that kind of comes with Hollywood. Either people are really humble or they're completely ego-driven. So
Absolutely.
I know that's the nature of the business. So I don't try to take it personally. Although it's like pretty rude. You don't have to be rude to people. Like it's not necessary.
On the convention front, have you been going to pretty much every convention, or at least Comic-Con, for the last few years or anything, or since they?
I've gone to quite a few.
Okay.
I go to San Diego because they give the Bill Finger Award, so I help present the Bill Finger.
That was one thing.
Whoop, whoop, San Diego in the house. Whoop.
Which is always fun. The first time I went to that was in 2014 for the 75th anniversary, and it was the second convention I had ever gone to before of any kind. And I was just like,
that is the king of cons.
My goodness, what did I just walk into? Like, what is this?
Smells like nerds in here.
Well, it was just so massive. Like
And Mountain Dew.
Funyuns and Mountain Dew.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But I mean, it was really cool. The people who were my handlers for that event that year, like, were super awesome. Like, they would ask me specifically, "So, is there anything specific that you want to do? Anyone specific that you want to meet?" And like, I wanted to go to the Avengers panel. That was the Age of Ultron that was coming up that year.
Yeah. Oh, Spader.
So they
Nice.
got that, even though it was a ticketed event. We got to see the premiere for Gotham and The Flash that year, which was really cool. And then the other thing I wanted to do was meet Weird Al, and they're like, "Yeah, we can make that happen."
Yeah.
Oh, jealous.
I need somebody in my life that can do that for me.
He
But
was
meet
so
Weird
nice.
Al, and then they
He
do it.
was. He signed my son's and mine badge that year, and I gave him a copy of Mark's book. I kind of gave him a little, rundown of who we were, and he's like, "Oh, that's really cool." Took pictures with us, and like, he was super nice. So I like it when it's a positive like that. It really makes the event, memorable, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, and in
So-
case anybody's wondering who's watching that book, that's Mark Tyler Nobleman. The book is Bill the Boy Wonder, I
Bill the
believe.
Boy Wonder.
Not a sponsor, but
not a
go
sponsor,
get it anywhere.
but if you want to help us
Great
out,
book.
if you want to help
And-
us out, you can go to the Malice-Corp website and click on the Amazon link there, and then go buy the book. So,
It's
Or
really
you can even
good.
check out the article I wrote back a couple of years ago about Batman and Bill. Hey,
And then buy the book.
and then buy the book. Yeah.
have you been at Comic-Con for when Bill got the Will Eisner, the Inkpot, and the Jack Kirby, or because I saw
he received the Inkpot in 2014. I received it for him.
Mhm.
I was not there when they started giving out the Bill Finger Award, because if you watch the documentary, they didn't know I existed, but
Right.
they knew I existed because I have correspondence from them from just after my father's passing in 92.
Oh wow!
So it's not
Wow.
like I wasn't unknown. They knew about me.
You weren't quite as much of a thorn in their foot yet.
No, I mean, it was just shy of my 16th birthday when my dad passed away. So it's, it was something that I wasn't, in their face. Like you said, I wasn't a thorn in their side. So when Jerry Robinson started the Bill Finger Award, I don't think he even knew that I existed. So, like, there were factors there that didn't bring me in the beginning. But now I go out there every year. Since I received the Inkpot for Bill, I'm welcome to go there, and I have tickets waiting for me every year. I do the presentation with Mark Evanier. Sorry, just had a brain fart for a second.
I do it all the time. Don't worry, it's okay.
Horrible.
It's perfectly normal on this cast.
Especially when I talk.
Yeah.
You should listen to Mess read
now,
names.
I'm getting way more
Such a
involved than I
tragedy.
used to be. So, which is good. I mean, I need to be more involved. If I'm going to take on this role of being the representative for Bill,
Mhm.
I kind of feel like I'm not just Bill's representative, because if you notice, nobody from the Kane estate is out there celebrating Batman or anything. So I kind of feel like I'm representing that whole team for the golden age creation time of the character.
Especially,
And that's a question that I had was, how do you, like, you don't, if it's bad, you don't have to say anything, but what's your relationship with the Kane family? What's your feelings towards Bob Kane at this point?
I don't have any real feelings towards him or his family.
Sure.
I mean, I respect the fact that they don't want to participate. That's their choice. As far as Bob Kane, he did his own harm to his reputation. I don't need to do anything other than just say, he gave Bill an opportunity to do something really awesome that he wanted to do. He recognized his talent and other people's talent and brought it together to create something that has lasted this long. And is the number one character, like you said, around the world. I think the bat symbol is like the third most recognized symbol.
Probably after
in the world.
McDonald's and Coke. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, I don't need to speak ill of Kane in any way. He did that to himself. So I try to really keep it positive, because that's more important.
Good. That's a good fight.
How does your son feel? Because now, I mean, you're the heir, and obviously your son is now going to be taking the throne at one point or another. What's his thoughts of this whole thing?
Well, right now he's super consumed with being 17. So
we all are at that point. Yeah.
Girls and prom. All right.
Well, no, he's a musician, so he's
nice.
Guitar, right?
Consumed with writing music and playing music. He has 2 jobs. He goes to school. He's super busy. Like, he has no time for girls.
Sounds like
Although I
you're
would like
raising him right.
But he's super busy. He's focused on getting into school, college and all of that. But when he was younger and we first started this whole thing going into conventions, he was like 10 years old. Like, think of being a 10-year-old and being brought into this world where people are looking at you like, oh my god, it's the great grandson of Bill Finger. And he totally ate it up.
Absolutely. Dude, I would have milked that.
He walked around the first convention we went to was in St. Louis, Wizard World. And he just walked around that place like he owned it. Like, I'm supposed to be here.
Yes.
I'm somebody. This is the way it goes. And
Bitches, my great grandfather created Batman. Get out of here.
Well, okay, so sadly, he had a similar experience when he was younger that I
Oh.
did when I was in school. And that the kids would like, what? Your great grandfather didn't do that. Like, you're lying. What are you talking about?
Exactly. I wanted to ask you about that because, like, I had a similar experience where you would tell stories at school and people were like, "Where's the proof?" And you didn't have that at the
I
time.
didn't, but he did, because as soon as Mark's book came out, he took the book to school and said, "See, that's my dog.
Nice.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. Stop it."
Is Bruce Wayne still hanging around?
No, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah.
So-
Way to bring it
I
down,
would-
Masonic.
Yeah, thanks for talking about dead dogs, dude.
He
Jesus
lives on
Christ.
forever and ever and ever. He's in the book and he's in the documentary. So
Nice.
absolutely.
Bat dog. So I was kind of stunned by how much of what we take as the normal Batman world was actually created by your grandfather.
So many characters.
Commissioner Gordon, Robin, the Joker, like
The city,
that
the
was-
Batcave, everything.
that,
all
like
that motif, all of the super important core elements to the whole
that's
myth of-
the word, core elements. That's what
Yeah, that all
we
came
when we
from
think
Bell.
Batman.
I loved that the first time that we had the giant penny in the Batcave was a story written by your that's huge. That's iconic to geeks and nerds. Is that
Yep.
those items that were inside the Batcave? So
Oh yeah, the oversized typewriter,
Mhm.
like that whole scene with the gangsters, and like all of that was all Bill. And that was, again, him pulling from what was around him at the time. World's Fair was going around with all the oversized stuff, so he pulled that element into his stories. Like, again, what was going on in the 40s and in the 30s and in the 50s, like he pulled all of that stuff into his characters.
Do you have any type of a favorite piece of memorabilia or something from your grandfather or anything he wrote that you personally have that
Or from
that-
DC or anything that you've
Yeah.
been given.
Like, what's your favorite
so
one?
I only have 2 original things that were given to me.
If you have Detective Comics, what was it, 24? Oh,
No. When I first met Paul Levitz, before the Dark Knight premiere, they had me come up to DC and meet them and get a tour of the office before they moved to LA, and we had lunch, and it was really just welcome, come be part of the family type of day.
hey, you're literally part of the family. We're going to make sure you feel like
lunch,
it.
Yeah, before we went to lunch, we were in his office. He had tons of Batman paraphernalia all over his office. And he worked with my grandfather. My grandfather was kind of his mentor when he was younger. And he's like, "Listen, I want to give you something." And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Listen, this is the only script in existence left from your grandfather."
Oh.
And it wasn't a Batman story because he wasn't writing Batman at the time. It was one of those strange, mysterious, I don't know, off the wall titles that they were putting out in the 60s. And it's the story with the marionettes of, Dracula and werewolf and stuff like that. But they really were Dracula and werewolf and these other, monster characters, but they were miniature and they were pretending to be marionettes. So it was a very strange story, but that was all that they had to offer me.
Wow.
It was like,
Yeah.
this is the last thing he ever submitted to our office
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Okay.
before he passed away. And so I was like, whoa.
Oh, right.
Like, what do you say to that? I just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
was in awe of it. And then the second time I had like this kind of like, wow, this is really significant, was when I met his best friend, Charles Sinclair, who he wrote The Green Slime with, and he wrote the episode for the 60s
Batman TV.
series. He gave me the only piece of art, like actual art, that my grandfather did, and it was a sculpture of my grandmother.
Oh.
wow.
And he told me this whole story. He's like, Bill was not an artist, but he decided to take this class at the Y just to do something a little different. And that he created this sculpture of your grandmother, and it did good to you. And I'm like, oh my god, like
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So I've had, 2 amazing artifacts given to me. I wish there were more, but
Yeah. Me too.
Those are probably got to be the 2 best ones because they're unique. No one's ever going to have them, and they're going to see them, and they're from him. I mean, we know it's from him, but that's something completely like. I'm not going to go around looking for that comic or that art piece work. That's something that will never be seen ever, kind of thing. That's awesome.
very personal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was
Personal
my
connection.
grandmother that he modeled the statue after, so
Yeah.
it was amazing to receive that.
Sorry, I was trying.
I'm interested in the question of a favorite question. I have to ask you. It's not going to be your favorite Batman. We already know that one. We don't, but we're not going to ask. I'm interested to hear what your
Keaton.
favorite.
It's got to be Keaton.
No, I don't know.
She said yes.
What's your favorite bat suit?
Kilmer nipples.
nipple suit. Yeah.
Look, reaction. I think that's the
Nobody's
question that's
asked me
never
that
asked.
question.
Yes. Got it.
It would have to be from the animated series.
I agree.
Oh,
Nice.
yes. Conroy?
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good
Very
pull.
nice.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go with George Clooney's?
Oh, come on.
A very pretty man.
He is a beautiful man, but he's not a Batman.
Not a good Batman.
Nope.
No.
Great Bruce Wayne, terrible Batman.
No,
Yep.
and that's the thing. Okay, so people are like, "Why is Keaton your favorite?" I'm like, "Because he pulled off both personas.
Both. Mm-hmm.
It's
I feel
not
the same.
easy to do that."
No. Yeah.
Well,
And I'm
especially
sorry,
because he was
I know
like
that
comedy guy at the time.
People love Christian Bale, but he was horrible. I'm sorry. I found him boring, and I didn't like
The
whole
bat
rap
voice was
thing
annoying.
he
The
was
swear to
doing.
me.
Swear to
The
me.
arrogance came out way too
Mm-hmm.
much. I'm sorry, but like,
He's been an actor
Well,
for way
on-
too long.
on
He's been an
that-
actor since he was like 6.
On that
no,
note,
and I used to love his work when he was a child.
Empire of the Sun was
Fire of the
fantastic.
Sun-
Amazing.
Oh my god, I've seen that movie like 1,000 times.
So
because
good.
it's so beautiful. The cinematography in that
Mhm.
movie was
Mhm.
amazing.
It's a beautiful movie.
on the note of, since they got onto the casting, do you have any thoughts on the current casting for Batman next? With
Oh.
I don't.
God.
I always try to just let people show their work
Mhm.
and then make my opinion. I know a lot of people didn't like Ben Affleck, but I think he did a really good
actually
job.
enjoyed Ben Affleck.
I liked Ben Affleck.
I know
Thank
that the
you.
storylines were a hot mess, but that's not
Mm.
his acting. He
Again,
was an
great Bruce
awesome
Wayne, terrible
older
Batman.
who was really like kind of worn out and trying to like facilitate all these people to do something together. And
Yeah.
I think he did a good job. I don't think he gets enough credit for that because
She
the
gets
movies
it.
were so bad.
She gets it. See, you guys aren't listening to me.
No,
She gets it.
I
So I'm
agree.
good.
I agree.
I
I actually like
agree
Batfleck,
as well.
So, I just
But Pattinson, come on.
Twilight
I've
Cat.
heard that he's done a lot of really good independent work. I did not
thank you.
watch
That's
the
what I've been trying to
Twilight
tell
movie.
people.
Okay,
I've heard that he's
I have
fantastic
not
in
been
indie
tainted
movies.
by the Twilight sparkling
Ugh.
vampire crap.
I was
Okay.
married for a while, so I've seen all of those. Yeah.
Oh.
If there's glitter in that bat
And I
costume,
love
I'm
vampire
riding.
stories. When I heard about that, I was just like, no, Vito, not happening.
Glittery Batman. That's gonna be
And all those memes are horrible. I'm sorry. I heard that he actually hated doing those movies and that he
Yeah, I heard
wanted
that
to do
too.
these smaller independent films. I actually just saw a trailer for The Lighthouse that he's doing this black and white movie with William Dafoe.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. That sounds
Google it.
intriguing. I heard.
Oh my
I-
god, the trailer
it's
is
fantastic. With
sick.
there was something he did with Jodie Foster, where he was apparently just like an amazing actor. But
Well, I've heard that he's an amazing actor. It's just that, he's been pigeonholed into this Twilight crap that he hated doing because it made so much money with the tweens. That's who.
well, the
made
twins and the
more.
Midwestern Housewives. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm all for giving him a chance and seeing what he does.
And I think I've said this before on this cast. We all, everybody was up in a rage when Ledger got cast as the Joker, and that turned out to be one of the best
Who won an
performances
Oscar for that?
ever.
Amazing. Mhm.
I mean, that was out of that trilogy, that was the only one that I liked because
The
of
best.
Ledger.
Yes.
Okay,
I did
without
like the
giving a
first one.
spoiler,
Every time I watch the first one, I fall asleep. Every time.
without giving a spoiler,
Yes.
Heath Ledger,
Or Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, you
I've been
can't
dying
compare.
to find
Those
out.
two
You
completely
cannot
different versions.
compare.
Really?
No.
Totally different
Heath
versions.
Ledger was comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
Joaquin is not comic book movie.
Yes.
You
That's
cannot
one of the reasons
compare
why I'm
them.
interested. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm interested to see this version of Joker. Only because as I keep reading into it, this is not comic book like you said. This is
No.
hey, this is real life. This could be someone next door to you and
Yes.
legit.
It's Michael
Well,
Douglas
think about
falling
what
down.
Gacy did. He dressed up as a clown, and then behind the scenes, he was murdering all of these boys and
Yeah.
young men. I mean, that's exactly what the Joker.
I did not expect us to talk about John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
That has taken a turn. Good call, though. No, like I
But
said,
it's true.
essentially
Yeah.
Michael Douglas and falling down. Like the guy just collapses right into
Yeah.
society.
Yes, in a way, more like Taxi Driver.
Okay, De Niro,
Dark
sure.
and gritty. Falling Down, I found to be a little more humorous as
Well,
far as the approach for it. And the reason why he snapped was completely different. I don't think that
Yeah.
character really had mental health issues. I think he just lost his
just
shit.
had a really shitty day.
Right. And you get pushed enough and shit's gonna happen. But when you look at the characters from like Clockwork Orange or from Taxi Driver and from this current Joker movie, it really looks at the issues of people who have mental health problems
Yeah.
and how they're not dealt with properly.
Oh God, no! I want to see it even more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it's discussing in the movie. Like, yes, it's the Joker, but it's not about comics. It's
not about craziness.
society.
It's
Commentary on society. Yeah.
Yes. And also you have to realize a lot of people I think miss the fact that it's not in this timeline. It's from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really from that time period where mental health issues were not addressed properly and all of the facilities
Or almost at
dealing
all.
with that were shut down or reduced and people were put on the street and not given proper care or proper medication or taken seriously. And that's really what the movie is looking at.
Did you get to meet Joaquin at the premiere?
No, but I did get to see him on the green carpet.
Green carpet? Oh,
Yeah, I didn't
I
even know
like
red
it.
carpet was
Joker.
green.
Yeah.
It was
That's
green. It was
fantastic.
not red.
that is a good marketing move.
Uh-huh.
Athena, we talked about this, or we chatted about it a little bit between our emails and stuff like that. What? Tell us what's next for Bill's Legacy. What are you guys planning here?
Okay, so since next year is not an anniversary year, we are starting a new campaign for Bill to get a star in Hollywood. I mean, Bob Kane has one, Batman got one this year, Burt Ward got one this year, Adam West has one. Like
Bill needs one.
Bill needs to have one. I did apply this year for him to have it. It would have been appropriate for him to win it this year
Oh yeah.
or the
Don't those,
anniversary year, but they didn't do that. Instead
don't
they-
those things cost like 35, 40 grand?
No, they've upped it to 50.
Oh wow.
So-
Jesus.
What my plan is for this is I need the fans to bombard the Chamber of Commerce with letters. There's applications online. The application's free. You don't have to pay for that, but you need to fill it out and you need to just send as many as possible. Because I think if we flood them with requests, then we can get him the star.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so
You
once
can give us the link and the after show details, and I'm sure we're going to put that up on our
Sure.
Notes are on our
for you.
page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
I'll drop
geeks
it
and
in there.
nerds. Let's get behind this.
So once he is approved, then we have to raise the funds to have the star put on, because that's what you're paying for. That's what
It's a really expensive little piece of concrete.
But that's okay, because I want to do a fundraiser, like a GoFundMe, and let the fans really like participate in this. And I'm going to have incentives for people. Like I had mentioned earlier on the show, I am an artist, so I'll do things for, if someone donates the most, I'll do an original piece of artwork for them, and have different levels. And
Can you come teach my 8th grader math?
Actually, I've been a private math tutor for 15 years, so
yes.
I'm sure I can handle it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the plan that we have, and it's going to go in line with. In 2014, Travis Langley and I started a Kickstarter to do this tribute film for Bill. Well, since the documentary already came out, we're going to take the tribute film and now make it an actual movie covering like another type documentary type thing, but it's not just going to focus on Bill's work with Batman, because he did so much more than just Batman. Like I said, he created the original Green Lantern. He did Wildcat. He worked, for Superman. He worked for Marvel. He worked for TV, radio, the Army. I mean, he worked for anyone and everyone that would give him work. So we really want to focus on his bodies of work and call it Starring Bill Finger, and use that.
Oh, that's great. I love
Top
that.
billing.
Him, the star.
Starring Bill Finger. That's fantastic. I love that.
So that's what we're working on for next year.
Nice.
Nice.
So
Well, I would like to
hopefully
be the
we'll get all
premiere
of
of that one.
pulled
So
together.
keep me in touch on that one, please. I'd like to be there.
Of course.
Yeah, if you get it going, you are always welcome to come back and tell us more about it and everything. That's
Oh, absolutely.
so-
We have an open door here for.
For our first guest, you got carte blanche at this point.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for coming onto the cast. We don't want to keep you forever, so this has been awesome. This has been amazing. The one last thing that we were going to start doing with our guests that I wanted to ask you about is going to be what we call our Geek Top 5, and it's just what everybody has as their top 5 in terms of pop culture. I'm assuming your number one superhero is Batman. I don't know. No,
He's a solid 3.
Who's your so number one? Who would be your number one superhero?
My students were floored when I told them it wasn't Batman. My favorite superhero, who's not really a hero, is Wolverine.
Ah,
Nice.
Anti-hero.
I like the qualification. Not really a hero. That's great.
Do you have a number one best favorite movie?
Oh, geez. There's so many. We did this at work, too, where we had to, come up with our top 5 movies.
I can do 3, but then I get lost.
It's so hard because there's so many good ones. But I think I put down as number 1 as for Gone with the Wind.
Awesome.
Classic.
That's
Nice.
about,
Really? You don't get dragged down by the 3-hour runtime?
Her top 5, not yours,
It's
sir.
not our. It's not us to question. Yeah.
Mute.
Fair enough.
What about TV show?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one.
We come with the hard answer
Favorite
questions here.
TV show?
The hard-hitting questions.
There's so many good ones, though.
She looks like
All
an
right, so
18 fan.
if you're flipping through your DVR, what are you going to watch before you watch everything else?
Oh, I'm so big on watching ID channel.
Nice. True crime.
But no, some of my favorites, I loved Fringe. Fringe was awesome.
Fringe was amazing.
The other one that I really enjoyed was The Strain. That was such a unique take on the vampire story. So those are 2 of my really. I really like what they did with the Limitless series. If you didn't see that on Netflix,
One season,
they
but
did
it was
one
great.
season. I mean, so good what they did with that. I was so sad that they canceled it. There's been a lot of really good ones that only have gone for one season, and I'm like, what? I want to know more. Like the Swamp Thing series.
Yes.
Oh,
Preaching
you
to the
just got
choir
bonus
here.
points
Yeah.
for this, guys.
Preaching to the
Yeah.
choir.
Oh yes.
I mean, I love Swamp Thing. Like the 80s movie, the first one, oh my God, it was like my favorite thing in the world. And I watched it like a zillion times. Like I watched all of my favorite movies like a zillion times.
Big
But when I
Papa's
saw
gonna be
that they were
crying
doing
later.
this new series, because I know that they tried to do it, in the late 80s, early 90s, they tried to do a series, and
Heather
it just didn't
Locklear,
go very well.
absolutely.
But this one was amazing. And then when they canceled it, like after the first like 3 episodes, I was like, what? No, I want to know what happens.
Yeah, you definitely want brownie points with one of our Big Papa is definitely going to be crying tonight when he sees that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book?
Do I have a favorite book?
Or series of books.
Don't say Wheel of Time or we're going to kick IC Zorro out of here.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to leave at that point.
I mean, I read a lot of Stephen King.
Nice.
Horror, yeah.
Stephen King does horror? No. I
I
was
I feel like
novels. What's going on?
I feel like I heard that he does horror somewhere.
There's a big clown theme going here. Love.
Actually, one of my favorite books when I was younger was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Nice.
Nice.
I love all these classics.
She is cultured, man.
Yeah, these are
Man,
awesome.
you are definitely stepping up this low podcast to the highlight.
yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, I'll throw out the last favorite, and it's not one that I don't know if you can get cultured on, but do you have a favorite video game at all?
I don't really play video games.
That's perfectly fine. That's why.
I mean,
Tetris, then.
people do refer to me as the Tetris Queen. I
There we
did
go.
play a lot of
Nice.
Tetris. I know how
Called
to
it.
play really well.
I think that's like the go-to game because isn't that free on most of those older phones or something?
Snake was the one that
It'd
was
be
free.
that or
You know,
worm
when I
snake,
was in
whatever.
elementary school, Game Boy had just come out, and Tetris was like what you
Mhm.
played.
Absolutely.
I
That
wore
Mario,
my Game Boy
And I
Tetris
was
out.
horrible
Oh,
at
yeah.
Mario. I'm so bad at those games. Like I would try to play video games with my son, and he would get so frustrated with me, like, "Mom, just let me do it." And I'm like, "Fine."
It's like I started. We had a joystick and 2 buttons. What the hell is with all this?
You had
crap?
2 buttons? We only had 1 with
One,
Atari
yeah.
2600.
Batman
So.
and Hubert, come on.
Actually, technically, Atari 2600 started with the paddle and then the joystick
Yes.
came
That's
after.
true. That's true.
Boom! Thank you.
Yes.
Good call. Good call. I stand corrected.
I mean, shit, I
We
was
had
alive. Sorry.
That was my video game. And when my cousin got the first Nintendo, oh my god!
Did you?
Shooting
Wait.
bugs?
Game
Did you get the one
changer.
with Robbie the Robot?
No.
Oh, yes, I'm still the only one.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're the only one. That's something that your parents made up, dude.
No, I still have it in my garage, sir.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That thing's gonna be worth a fortune because you can't find those anymore.
Not as cool as that 75 anniversary Batman set right up there. What?
Nice.
Ah! Shameless plug for that one.
We've actually gone a little over an hour, so this has been fun. I thank you so much, Athena, for coming
lot
on.
of fun.
This is probably my favorite episode to record ever. So, and
Well, I'm so glad. I like doing these. They're a lot of fun. If you guys want to have me on the show again, please just let me know what
Absolutely.
you want.
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay, so in top 5 rankings, where do we rate as far as
God.
Do you know how many years I've been doing these podcasts? You want me to recall some of them?
So
I would like a
imagine,
detailed list.
Imagine if this is the top. Yeah.
The only hope is that we are actually memorizing one of the ones that you do remember, not for bad things, but for good things.
No, this has been super fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, we've really appreciated having you.
Is there anywhere that you would want people to follow you or reach out to you on Instagram or Twitter or anything? Or
I have a
or the
Twitter,
site.
just put my name in. I have an Instagram, just put my name in. I have 2 Facebook pages, just put my name in. I have a website. www.athenafinger.com. I mean, it's
Oh,
super easy. Just put
awesome.
my name in. The website features a lot of my artwork. I need to update my schedule on there, but I, have like where I'm appearing and things like that. It has a little background about Bill on there. It has a little background about me. If you want commission work, I do commission work, so you
Nice.
can always hit me up for that. So yeah, you can find me on all of those platforms.
Just look for Athena Finger. Oh, so
You can Google me and find me.
awesome.
just put the name in.
That's what my students do.
Well, once again, thank you for coming on. If you guys enjoyed this show, or if you're wherever you're listening to this or checking it out, make sure that you're subscribing and that you're dropping comments or a review. Let us know how it went, and if you want to hear more or see more. So thank you so much for coming. Usually we talk about where to follow everybody. Do we even want to do that, or we just
No, mic
Yeah,
drop.
no,
That's
this time.
it. We're good.
This is see, first guest. We don't know what to do at the end.
If you're watching this podcast, you already know where to follow.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm gonna do the sign off and say, you keep nerding on, and we will see you next Friday. Have a wonderful day.
Carry on.